Dear friends of knowledge, I have never been in a Wikipedia-related course that was as strange as this one. But fortunately, no course can be that strange that you cannot learn from it. Wikimedia organizations have the task to support Wikipedia volunteers. For example, one Wikimedia organization once hired a communications trainer. In a two-part course, participants were to learn how to communicate better. By the way, place and time of the event don't matter here. The goal was the following. The participants were mentors, that means volunteers who help newcomers to Wikipedia. A newcomer can use good support with her first steps in Wikipedia to find her way around. The communications trainer, let's call him Peter, usually trains staff members in the professional world of call centers and in-house training. Peter seemed to have everything well prepared. In the first part, he lectured about communication in general. He emphasized how important the personal relationship is. Communication is not only about content, but also has a social aspect. This went well with the participants. Before the second part, we had a homework assignment, a practical exercise. Each participant received access data to a communications platform. There, each one of us exchanged written messages with Sally. Sally, that was the name of a fictitious person we were supposed to coach. Peter warned us that Sally would communicate in a rude and impolite manner because it was the intention to deal exactly with difficult people. Sally was supposedly an actress working for Peter's agency. The goal Peter gave us was the following. Accompany Sally in her first steps in Wikipedia and get her to publish a Wikipedia article. So that was the goal, her writing a new Wikipedia article. I'll comment on that goal later. So in the exercise, Sally introduced herself as a university lecturer who was excellent on a particular topic. The Wikipedia article about that topic was very poor, she wrote, and that needed to be changed. However, she had general doubts about the quality of Wikipedia, about which she thought very negatively. Okay, but Sally then also asked me as a mentor about my background, where I had studied, what I had studied, and what my professional competence was to talk about the topic. This questioning irritated not only me but also other course participants, as it turned out later. But well, Peter had stressed out how important the personal relationship is in communication, that you have to tell something about yourself in order to create trust. That's true for sure, but it also became clear that Peter came entirely from the world of professional training for staff members. There, people have clear roles and tasks, and they get paid for doing them. The communication in such a training takes place among people who know each other in person, and basically they talk to each other in private. So he did not know enough about the situation in Wikipedia. For example, we course participants had assumed that the communication with the newcomer Sally was in public because that's how we now communicating in Wikipedia. In my opinion, Sally, so Sally always in quotation marks, had two problematic ideas. First, she asked for the mentor's real name. That is not okay because the rules of Wikipedia allow people to participate anonymously or let's say under a pseudonym. When Sally asked me for my real name and background, she was actually crossing a line already. Second, Sally believed that she was a very valuable scientist and therefore Wikipedia would have to be very eager to make her a contributor. Apparently, she wanted to import her professional status into Wikipedia. But that is not possible. Wikipedia is not about science, but about writing an encyclopedia. Wikipedia is happy to welcome newcomers if they can write in a readable manner, and above all, if they cooperate well with others. and in general, the goal that Peter had set is not realistic. When I was still a mentor in Wikipedia, it was not my goal at all that all mentored newcomers deliver an article. Sure, if a newcomer is rude or appears to be rude, you don't have to stop mentoring immediately. But as a mentor, you are a volunteer, and why should you waste your free time with individuals who are unfriendly all the time? As a mentor, you should ask yourself, would this newcomer really be an enrichment for Wikipedia? Wikipedia is a social community. Does the newbie want to learn to find her way in Wikipedia? Does she want to help others too? Or does she merely want to publish a single article for self-interest? After all, Wikipedia is not just a platform for publishing, but first and foremost a platform for collaboration. In the past, we have also seen mentors being abused by newcomers, misused. Many newbies simply want to write an article about their own company to promote it. Or there was a case where a newbie wrote an article about a company that didn't even exist. The background was that there was a large-scale attempt to betray investors. And there the scammers had pretended that there was a company to invest in, and the Wikipedia article was part of the attempt to prove the existence of that company. But let's get back to Sally, or actually Peter. I started to doubt whether the actress behind Sally even existed, or whether that was simply Peter himself. Anyway, the newbie Sally had written that she had taken a closer look at the already existing Wikipedia article about her topic, which she wanted to rewrite. According to the article's version history, the text came from user someone, and that someone was a real Wikipedia author. I won't disclose the name here. And Sally said she knew personally that user someone, that person was very incompetent, according to Sally. Sally finally delivered her own text for the article, and we were supposed to have a look at it or approve it, and then she wanted us to add it to Wikipedia. Then at the end of the course, when we talked about all of this in the wash-up, it came out that the communication trainer Peter himself knew user someone in real life. Obviously, that person was a professional competitor of his on the topic of the article. And Peter wanted to use the opportunity to get the Wikipedians in the course to finally improve the article for him. In other words, that trainer was paid to help the Wikipedians learn to communicate. But in fact, he wanted to abuse the course to impose his own view of the subject to Wikipedia. A clearly unethical behavior for a trainer. Despite this disappointment, I think that I learned something in the course. We need to pay even more attention to the ideas that newcomers have about Wikipedia. We need to learn more about their expectations. And as some participants also said in the debriefing, a training program needs to be better adapted to the situation in which the participants find themselves. To work out such a program for Wikipedia mentors, you not only must know how communication works and how to conduct a training, you also have to know Wikipedia well enough. And that is actually the goal of my book, Wikis und die Wikipedia verstehen, to provide such knowledge. Dear friends of free knowledge, if this course experience looks still rather harmless to you, then my congratulations. Thanks for watching. See you the next time.